Hi, today is Thursday, March 9th, 2017. It's the fourth day of the second week of Lent, and this is a Swede Speaks. I have just had my inspirational walk, so now I could make the second video of today. And, I'd like to talk about Claes-gate. And Claes-gate is the class that I have mentioned before. He is the guy who was filming some of the riots in Hallsberg. He made a video about it, which also ended up on YouTube. And he works as a musician at the Workers' Educational Association in Sweden. And he was called up by his employer, as I mentioned yesterday. And he might lose his job. There is a story about this coming out today. I saw it earlier today, and I'd like to comment about it because now there are a few more details about it. He is interviewed by a Swedish alternative media site called Nyheter idag, and he explains that he works as a musician at the Workers' Educational Association, or as it's called in Swedish, Arbetarnas Bildningsförbund. This association, they are socialists or social democrats, if there even is a difference. They are very neo-left, so that's why they don't like that he spreads what's going on in Sweden. And the reporter at Nyheter idag says that he can't find Claes-gate's Facebook account, and he explains that he has closed down his Facebook account right now because his employer told him to do so, and he has done that until he is going to have the meeting with his employer to see what happens. So, do you see what is going on here? A person who is documenting what's going on in Sweden, a person, he just films. And he comments on that in the film, in Swedish though, and at one point in the film, he says he uses a word that by many Swedes is considered derogatory, because he used the word blattar, and that word is a not so nice term for Middle Eastern immigrants. I guess you could include Persians and Afghans and so too. But it really is a term that. But they ask him, "Do you use this word derogatory?" And he explains that his wife is Arab, so his children are half Arab, and he says they jokingly use the word in his family. Well, I have no way of knowing in how he uses the word, but we can just look at the facts. The facts are. There have been riots in Hallsberg, a place of about 7,000 people, a small place. He documents it, and he is threatened with losing his job for it. Sweden is a soft totalitarian state. I would also like to mention another thing. The American reporter Tim Pool, as you probably know, he has been to Sweden. He has documented what's going on. In Rosengård in Malmö, things went sort of fine, but then he went to Rinkeby in Stockholm, and he had to leave because, people noticed that he had a camera woman with him, and they don't like being filmed because I guess they know that the place they're living and how they're acting, they don't want it to get out in the world, although everyone knows this. Even in Sweden, but in Sweden people are supposed to pretend that it's not like that. Anyway, and Tim Pool has made a magnificent job. I probably don't share all of Tim Pool's views, it doesn't matter, he has documented what's going on. And he says in one of his latest videos that he don't like Sweden. Well, he says that it's kind of nice, kind of comfortable in most places, but socially awkward. Yeah, we could I made a short list of some of the things going on in Sweden for the last few years. The last year there were 34 grenade attacks in Sweden. In Sweden. You know why? because hand grenades can't be stopped by customs in Sweden. That's really crazy. I mean, you cannot import a handgun to Sweden without having a permit, but obviously you can import hand grenades. So there are hand grenade attacks. In a place called Tumba, which is, my grandparents lived there before, but it was better back then. My grandparents used to live there when they were alive. There was a hand grenade attack against a police car. Do you think anyone got sentenced to anything for this? If you think so, you are wrong. There are cars burning all the time in Stockholm and in Sweden. There are 55 no-go zones in Sweden. There are riots, more or less, maybe not every week, but it seems to be every other week at least. And the Taharosh game was introduced to Sweden. You know what that is? You know, it's the rape game that a lot of guys surround a girl or sometimes a boy and then they rape them. And no, there has always been rape in Sweden, but this specific game has not always been a Swedish thing. Oh, I need something for my throat. This is an imported problem. We can go on. Stones are thrown at policemen and firefighters. Jews are harassed, especially in Malmö, but also in Stockholm and Gothenburg. And they are leaving Malmö, and some are leaving Sweden, going to Israel, to the United States. In asylum housings, Christians are persecuted. If I would walk into an asylum housing in Sweden wearing this, I would most likely be in trouble. Now, I'd do it anyway, because I'm crazy enough to do it. Because if there's something I really, really hate, it's cowardness. And, yeah, you have the opinion corridor in Sweden. And that's the root of this problem. I mean, that things are swept under the rug. They are not supposed to be talked about. And it all ends up in wordplay. Like, for instance, when I say there are 55 no-go zones in Sweden, if I say this to a left-wing Swede, and mind you, 7 of the 8 parties in Sweden could be considered neo-left, identity politic left. The 8th party, the Sweden Democrats, they would like to consider themselves social conservatives, and some of them are. But I consider them sort of social democrats. They want back to the good old Sweden. The good old Sweden, which was sort of soft totalitarian in a more Marxist way. But that was better than jihadist Sweden that you're getting now. I don't like the old Sweden, but I really don't like the new Sweden. And people who are telling about this, if it's Claes Mård in Hallsberg, if it's Peter Springare, the policeman in Örebro, they are ostracized. They are threatened that they might lose their jobs. Okay, I haven't heard that about Peter Springare, but first he was reported for hate speech. The investigation was closed. They couldn't prove any of that. Then he was now he has been reported for that he would have accessed the information illegally. I don't buy into any of that. I think he's a policeman, he's a crime investigator, and he probably just used the information that he otherwise has full access to. They just don't like how he used the information. And the problem is, as long as people in Sweden are playing along this game, nothing is going to change. It's just going to get worse. And I know a few people who are challenging it. And they are paying a very high price for it. Either they lose their jobs, they are unable to make any decent career at all. They stay at a very low position in their line of work, or they are unable to find a job because any employer, any place where they look for a job, their names are Googled, and well, then there is no job for them. I mean, I could not get employed in Sweden, forget it. It's even difficult in Norway, and Norway is better than Sweden. But I know people in Norway with the same problem. But I digress. Anyway, so I guess this video is about the Claes-gate, and it's about the Swedish opinion corridor. Will it fall? Well, I remember when the Berlin Wall fell. It just fell. and a year later, the East Germany, the DDR, the Deutsche Demokratische Republik, the German Democratic Republic, which wasn't very democratic at all, but anyway, it ceased to exist. No one had foreseen that. And I remember when the Soviet Union fell, it just imploded. So maybe, but there is a problem. Because in the old East Bloc countries, it was really the people against the government. And government owned the media, so you could say it was the people against the government and the media, but the media was a branch of the government. In Sweden, it's a fraction of the people against another fraction of the people, with a lot of people staying in line in between. And also it would turn into a conflict with the Muslim minority, which is a large minority in Sweden now. So when it comes to Sweden, I don't really have high hopes. Why I keep on reporting and commenting on what's going on in Sweden, and I don't only comment Sweden, I comment the United States, I comment Norway, I comment Finland, I comment wherever important things happen, but Sweden still has a special place to me because I was born there, I grew up there, and I lived there until I was 28. So, but my real point of commenting on this is, look to Sweden and learn from their example. Don't do the same things to your own countries. And if you are doing it somehow, like Canada is doing now, like Denmark is starting to do, like Finland has started to do, like Germany is doing, like the UK, even the UK are doing, then please wake up and turn around before it's too late. I think it's too late for Sweden. I hope I'm wrong. And that's what I have to say about this right now. I would like to thank the people who are supporting this channel through PayPal and through Patreon and through prayers. As I mentioned to you, the very real financial support that I have been receiving, not very much yet, but still I've gotten a little, and I am very happy for it, has made it possible for me to get this thing, and I hope it improves the sound. It has made it possible for me to upgrade the program I am using, so that annoying watermark saying Screencast-O-Matic has disappeared. And more support will make it possible for me to improve this channel even more, to report more, maybe to actually travel to places where things are happening, to meet with interesting persons and interview them. I mean, the possibilities are really endless. So I am very, very grateful for all the support I receive. And if nothing else, please click on the ads, so I get a few cents here and a few cents there. If you like this channel, please subscribe to it so you don't miss anything. Please like my videos if you like them. Please share my videos on social media. If you got something to say, please comment. And I would also like to encourage you to support this channel. That can be done through PayPal, it can be done through Patreon, and even just $1 a month through Patreon is a good thing too, because that would give me foreseeable income, which makes it easier for me to plan. And I am very grateful for all support. This is a Swede Speaks. Have a nice day.